Jordy Smith locking into a big wall. Second wave, and he lays down a searing cutback. Perfect flow off the bottom. Drills it off the top again. Third maneuver, he attacks the section again. Doesn't have to go early.
Let's have a look at Jordy's run through to the final. It wasn't easy. Imai Kalani to vault. A very difficult draw. Imai was surfing to keep his place on tour, Flick.
Yeah, when you're coming up against, I guess, someone who has nothing to lose, well, basically nothing to lose and just trying to gain, right, it can be pretty dangerous. And so coming up against Imai, yeah, tough draw for sure. But, I mean, this is when we had some serious solid power in the lineup here. And I'm just sorry, but how do you beat Jords out there? I don't know how you do, because this is where he really comes into his own. He just muscles and overpowers this wave, rides out with ease. Big dog on tour, and yeah, taking them down.
Yeah, he put together some magic heats out here, Rich. He's always got those deep set rail turns that he leans into, but just surf with incredible speed at main break this year.
Yeah, and that's something that, you know, the older guys on tour can be guilty of losing sometimes, but Jordy's almost turned the volume up on it, surfing faster than ever before. But just the composure in the heats and the management of the heats, he never looked like he was off pace. He always made the right decisions, placement of manoeuvres on the waves and waves choice. It was just impeccable. It was really, really on point.
Yeah, got busy and adapted nicely to the conditions in his heat. Semi-final heat against Crosby Colapinto, and then had to tackle the big bro in the final, Griffin, and Griff's just been absolutely on fire and collected the two most highlight moments of this event and two of the biggest moments of the year so far. But Jordy, just delivered when he got those opportunities. We knew they were going to be precious today.
Yeah, completely. Delivered on the opportunities, kind of error-free, and adapting to the conditions, right? Just speaking of the experience, realising, okay, this isn't really going to pan out the way we want. Just got to get busy under priority, move around, hunt around. And, yeah, adaptability got him the win.
Sometimes you got to win ugly, win dirty. You just got to get it done.
Usually a winner's sort of gets the chair from the keyhole all the way up to the presentation stage, but they made Jordy walk to the top of the stairs before they picked him up. Got the excellent score in the final. That was really the difference, and Griffin was really forced to wait for his opportunity with priority and never really got it.
Nah, just unfortunately the Ocean did tend to have a nap right towards the end of today. But, you know, again, someone had to come away with the victory, and Jordy just had this flow, had this momentum that seemed to be in sync with just the sets today, and he's a worthy champion. You can't deny that he's a worthy champion here.
Yeah, on both sides. When we came here and had those semi-finals established, it almost didn't matter who won through. It was going to be someone that gave us great moments at different stages, at main break, over the channel at the box as well, across the bay. And Jordy is the man who's broken through for that incredible 8th CT victory. Let's have a look at the WSL rankings after stop number 7. Smith with a pretty healthy lead now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, he's kind of starting to mirror what Italo was doing early on. He's got a 5,000 point lead there, and that's a lot of places when you think about positions through the event. Italo slid down number 2, Yaga hanging in there at 3. Kanoa stayed steady at number 4, and then Barron back up into the top 5, which is really cool.
Yeah, big mover for me is Barron, I guess. Just, you know, we spoke about it earlier, but he, you know, tends to do so well at the beginning of the year and then slowly slip down. But this year's been a different story for him, so it's been cool to see him sort of trend back upwards in those rankings.
Yeah, doing good stuff with Luke Egan, and Griffin obviously has moved up into a 11th position, was knocking on the door of that top 10, and obviously they were having that fight for the GWM Aussie Treble trophy as well, and what a trophy it is.
Yeah, no, an amazing Tank 300 from GWM, an amazing car. I've actually been in a couple of times. Amazing vehicle.
Yeah, well, Isabella Nichols took the goods in the Aussie Treble on the women's side, but let's have a look at the bracket for our champion. And it was, as I said, an amazing lineup of surfers battling for the victory here today. But Gabriela Bryan was just on another level.
She was incredible. I mean, she came in here, no secrets, wearing the yellow jersey. Your world number 1 and defending an event win too, right? She's the defending champion out here. Last year, she really came into her own. We're thinking, holy, this woman's got some serious power. And she backed it up here again. I mean, the waves just play so well into her favour. She's spoken to it too. So many similarities to Hawaii. The waves she's grown up surfing on Kauai, and she just feels at home here. And it's no secret, right? I think, yeah, I just can't sing her praises enough. There were a couple of mistakes. She spoke to that though earlier. Had those nice moments, but still had to clean up a few things, but pulled through towards the final.
Yeah, it's just these power surfers have the ability to create an emotion within you when they do their turns, and you know, all the surfers on tour, men and women, they can do all these progressive, flary type manoeuvres, but when someone lays down a full tilt rail carve and actually tears the wave apart, you can't help but give that a high score. It's pure surfing, and you know, Gabriela's going to take this onto lowers at the next event, and she's going to be hard to stop there as well. Yeah,
I've got to agree with that. How can you go past that big hack on the right-hander at lowers? I don't know. Okay, progression-wise, I mean, maybe, but it speaks to the call order and everyone, right? Everyone loves to see a board go on rail. You're not wrong, Rich. It's, undeniable.
It was like a full moon for the dog. He was howling. He was absolutely pumped up, and he was blown away by Gabby's opening ride in that final. He just said, mate, look at how explosive she is. Her bottom turn, just so on rail. So fast off the bottom, straight into those big, powerful hooks. A commanding performance in the final, and Katie Simmons actually had some pretty decent rides too, but really difficult to match the size of those turns from Gabriela.
Yeah, like we always talk about the creativity of Katie Simmons, the different lines she takes, very expressive in how she does her manoeuvres. She's performed incredibly well, but just got outpowered today.
Yeah, it's just a really difficult thing to match up against when Gabriela's on, and she dropped the best wave of her career in the final on the very first wave.
It's so hard to come up against that in the conditions we had today too, with so much wind, you know, just physically Gabriela being so much, you know, bigger, stronger, and Katie spoke to it yesterday. She's like, I'm going to blow away tomorrow. I heard it's going to be really windy. And it is. It's so tricky. Like, when you
need to work on that impersonation.
I need an American accent, I know. Not in my voice box condition, Ron.
You sound like Micro.
But honestly, out there at main break, it'll keep you honest. And when it's super windy like that, it's so hard. So you got to award power out there.
Yeah, you do. And you got to celebrate that kind of form. Let's have a look at the rankings on the women's side. It is a super impressive run that Gabriela Bryan's been on, but it's close at the top of the rankings. We saw a couple of times in the quarterfinals, Molly Picklum, Katie getting themselves to the top of the ladder for a moment on the live rankings. But Gabriela always responding beautifully, and the power, it kind of echoed what we've seen from Carissa Moore out here over the years. And I know Carissa was really backing Gabby in a big way to get the job done. Yeah, absolutely. Messages coming through from Hawaii, and the yellow jersey actually got passed with each round. Back to Katie, back to Gabriela, and it was like a step-by-step process, but Gabriela finds herself right at the top by a couple of thousand points here, so not as big a lead coming into lowers, and there's just a host of women behind her that are itching to get up there. Really good-looking leaderboard. Oh, it's unbelievable, and Flick also, that's the field you're looking at that's going to be attacking the last events of the season. It's cool when you look at that field. It's exciting. I can't go past, little Erin yesterday, the moment when she found out that she was going to be on for the rest of this year's tour, because, she had teary moments there, and I think, I just know how hard she works, and, she should be super proud of herself. A lot to celebrate in what has been an unbelievable run of events. The GWM Aussie Treble really delivering some great waves, some incredible performances, and also a couple of new leaders on the rankings. Gabriela Bryan, she climbed into that number one position down there after her result at Bells, and has held on to it with some really tough opponents and seasoned campaigners kind of threatening to snatch it back from her. Yeah, I love what she said too. She knows her strengths, and she's just leaning into that. She's not trying to change the formula. It's, lean into the power and keep the fun. And I just love it. It's super simple, because you can kind of get caught up in, this person's doing this, they've got different lines, more progression, but I just love it. Stick to what you know. Yeah, the world champ, the reigning world champion, Caitlin Simmers, another big result for her. Tapping back into that magic form after tripping up a couple of times early in the event down there at Bells and on the Gold Coast. But back into a final and really not too far behind Gabriela as we head to stop 8.
Yeah, and stop 8 is, I guess, a pet event for her for sure. She's secured the world title there. And a real threat, you know, that progressive style of surfing that she brings to the table. There's no better platform than Lower Trestles to put that on show. She's going to be hard to beat there. And again, we may see that power versus precision type of surfing and a real battle.
A really strong performance for Isabella Nichols through the GWM Aussie Treble, stitching it up yesterday and getting herself that tank, the GWM Tank 300. What a awesome bonus for her, and just clicking into career best form after a strong finish in El Salvador.
Yeah, Isabella, obviously, you know, a career victory, an amazing achievement down at Bells Beach, and a realisation, I think, at this point that, you know, she is a contender here and that she firmly belongs, you know, up the top of the women's ratings. The whole initiative by WSL and GWM to have this Aussie Treble is so good. I love it. It's great to buy into it, and it really is inspiring for our athletes to perform and be consistent over all 3 events.
It's a long leg flick, and there should be a reward at the end of it.
Oh, 100%. And I think just the consistency on it. Obviously, she got to ring the bell. This is the most iconic event, but she just took that consistency to Burleigh. She took it here to main break. Just her wave selection at all events was so on point. It was so on brand. You know, working here with Stomper, who she's worked with for a long time. She's also working with Bottle, but it just all seemed to click together, and it was just it was so good to watch her really click into that, because I feel like the last few years she's sort of been fighting. You come to Margaret River, she's fighting for a spot on tour. You know, obviously she won the event to keep her place, but it's always filled with a lot of emotion. This time though, coming here, feeling relaxed, feeling confident.
Yeah, and we've touched on it a couple of times throughout this contest. There is a small group of surfers who get their event wins on their forehand, and it felt like it was going to be those people really looking to capitalise on this run of Australian events that was going to see them heading right. Isabella Nichols too strong, and we expected Jordy Smith to turn in a pretty good performance too, and he ended up snatching the GWM Aussie Treble title from Kanoa Igarashi, who was brilliant through the first 2 legs.
Yeah, Griffin also right in the hunt, right to the last moment. Whoever won that final was going to snatch it. So this one coming down to the final heat of the Aussie Treble. Kanoa had the keys just in his pocket for a little while, and Jordy just stole them. But again, we look at the performance of the man has just been so consistent right from the start. The event down at Bells Beach, where he's had that win before. Just all power and style and grace.
All style, and Jordy just seems to have a whole lot of time at the moment. It feels like you never see him rushing on the front foot, but he's still surfing with a lot of speed. There's just something about his equipment at the moment and his form, which is just really fun to watch.
Oh, his form is absolutely incredible. I think same results as Bella too, the 5th and the 1st, right? And coming here to Margaret River, I mean, it was so cool to see it all come down to the wire in the final against Griff, but how can you go past Jords here just with that sheer power? And you know, he's just had some classic comments too, you know, just throughout this whole event, on stage just then. I just love what we're hearing, what we're seeing from Jordy. I want him to win more because I just want to listen to more of those interviews. It's so good.
Really enjoying himself, and we're enjoying the performances. You know, you think about the big tall walls here, those big days. John Florence has always been the benchmark. In his absence, Jordy Smith stepped up and covered more face than anyone, Rich, and really matched the wave's power with some power of his own.
Yeah, I probably sound like a bit of a broken record, but, you know, I'm such a purist when it comes to just power and style and flow and that fundamental element of what I consider to be a great surfer. And Jordy is right up there with the greats, you know, alongside Kelly and Andy and all those power surfers that you think about. And, you know, it's almost his to lose now. Coming into these next few events, he's going to be super hard to beat.
Yeah, it's time to check out the Boost Mobile heat of the day, and it was an easy choice because Gabriela Bryan went turbo in the final. She's had great form through the last 4 events, but up against Caitlin Simmers, who is such a dangerous draw. she really ramped things up.
Oh, this heat was incredible because, Rich, you and I were in the booth commentating that heat previous to this one, and that was the one we had the restart. It was all looking really slow. I walked off on a break and all of a sudden looked up a big screen and I seen a 9 and a 7 and a 7, and I'm thinking, hang on a second, is this the same day? Is this the same heat? The ocean really turned on, and this 9.5 from Gabriela, I mean, it just, everything clicked. It just the true representation of her surfing, and it really was an exciting final between the two women, with Katie with surfing like this as well.
Rich, when you think about these two competitors, you know, Katie has proven to be so clutch when her back's against the wall. She has snatched finals away from people. So if you're going to beat her, you really need to make a statement earlier on, and Gabriela did it.
Oh, she sure did, and you can see the different styles here. The power of Gabriela Bryan, just the board's cutting deep up through the wave face. Caitlin's lines are perhaps more creative and have more flair to them, but today the power was undeniable, and the celebrations will continue into the evening for sure.
Most definitely. Her third championship tour win, and she remains on top of the CT rankings, heading to stop number 8, and she's going to be hard to budge out of that final 5 picture. Likely she'll be there in Fiji with the form she's showing at the moment, having a good run at it. Also thinking about Trestles, predominantly a right, Jeffreys Bay. Look out, world. Yeah, Gabby Bryan.
Completely right. And with the first woman with the double win now on tour, you know, a few thousand points out ahead, things are... Now that we're past the cut, we can start thinking about this final 5, who's going to be there, you know, who's really significantly kind of trying to make a breakaway. And, you know, you're kind of thinking Gabby's going to be a shoo-in now. She's sitting at number 1 on the rankings. Just to your point, Ron, the couple of events coming up, Rights, the Power, she's looking pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, these last events of the regular season are going to be super interesting. Yesterday, it was all about the cut. Today was about finding out who our champions were going to be. But let's have a look who's going to be contending through the back half of the year. Such a stacked lineup. I mean, it just really feels that there's some talent at the back end of the ranks outside the 5 at the moment that could get on a roll and really cause some big upsets to the order.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the story, one of the main stories of the last couple of days has been this back half of the women's 10, and we saw Lakey Peterson, you know, save herself yesterday. Erin Brooks, she was left sitting on the stairs, and her fate was out in the water. Nervous times for her, but you'd have to think that Erin and Lakey, Luana, and Caroline in particular, you know, coming into California, there are events where they're starting to go, hang on a minute, now I can start climbing. The pressure of the cut is done, and I can really just lock into my performance that I want to put on show.
For me, it's crazy. Obviously, you got Gabby with the 2 wins. Everyone else, though, you know, they're all individual wins at events, so things are kind of tight. But someone who I can't get past, she's actually out there, you know, Erin at the bottom. I just can't go past her at Trestles, and I can't go past... I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do at Chopes. I know she's had a couple of trips there in the past, and I know she's not afraid to charge, so I'm really looking forward to watching her in the back half of the year.
I think if you think about the surfers that haven't got a CT victory this season, Erin's probably done the best surfing without getting a win and had some really impressive numbers. Relegated. And we know that it was a different story this year. There was a qualification story happening for surfers that finished 11 to 14th, and there was going to be someone missing out on a place, having to go back to the Challenger Series. As things unfolded, that person ended up being Sally Fitzgibbons. That was a really difficult one for Sally. Excuse me, a tough result when she was giving it her all out there. But I think about Sally Fitzgibbons, you know, I'm sure there was probably some question marks in her head about what she was going to do next. But she's got to remember, she just took out the Challenger Series last season. It's so difficult to crack that top 10, and she was really only a heat away or a place away from solidifying her place on tour for next year. I just think Sally is too strong with the field expanding not to have another go at the Challenger Series. I think in the regular season, I see her easily requalifying with more spaces up for grabs. So that's going to be a really interesting one to watch to see what she does.
I don't have any doubt in my mind that she's going to requalify. She's just such a weapon. I mean, think about the consistency. She's such a warrior. She loves the game. She loves competing. There's not a shadow of doubt in my brain. I think it's all the women on the Challenger Series, and I can, you're thinking about drawing comparisons with Sally. She's just too good. She's too good.
And then you think about those other surfers that finish 11th to 14th. They get a lot of time to take a break from the tour and work on their surfing and then come back reinvigorated for the 2026 season.
Yeah, absolutely. As we expand the amount of women on tour for next year, it's going to be super exciting. And I echo your sentiments. I think Sally will brain the Challenger Series again. She'll find a way back onto the tour. It was funny, not funny, but she sort of messaged me a couple of events ago. She said, this season's been a beautiful mess. There's been moments where she's shone and put down an amazing performance. Just a consistency, I guess, has just been a little off, but she'll be back. It's too good.
Let's have a look at the men's field. Those that survive the cut will challenge for the final 5 in the back half of this season. And again, it was super intense in the last few heats of the event, with Imai still chasing that 22nd spot. Alejo hung on in the end. Crosby Colapinto saving his place on the CT. But much like the women's, an incredibly stacked field with a lot of talent, a lot of event winners in the mix, chasing glory.
Oh, it was tough times for me to watch Cole, Al, Crosby and Alejo, right? I think Alejo had the hardest job, just to sit there and wait and watch it all unfold. If Imai did the almost impossible and get the win, Imai would have jumped up into that last place to make the cut. But for me, it was fun just watching Al. He had no bloody idea that heat was the heat of his life and basically going to dictate the next 2 years of his life, or year and a half. And just to watch him go out in that heat and have no idea and come in and be like, oh, okay, there we go. And just the celebrations after were pretty classic, just pretty on brand for Al.
Al Cleland reminds me of Italo Felipe when they first came onto the tour, in that he's just already in attack mode. Gabriel Medina much the same way. Willing to kind of risk it all in heats just to put his best surfing out there in the water. And as a result, I think he'll get more and more comfortable as he gets more reps. Relegated to the Challenger Series. Some really big names there, some sad stories as well, but some surfers that have shown resilience in the past and gotten themselves back onto the CT after being cut.
Yeah, absolutely. Arcal, obviously, congratulations being a new dad as well. Some extra motivation there. A couple of the Brazilians, and to me, there's 3 names that stand out: George, Pitar, Sammy Pupo and Liam O'Brien, that I feel like have done some amazing surfing this year. Incredibly high scoring heats, but have just come up against people that have just been on a total heater. These guys have shown in the past too that they can dominate the Challenger Series, and I think they'll do it again.
The top 22 pace.
Yeah, it's interesting. Even you look at that list and it says relegated. Just can't not mention it. The Ramsey and the Gabby story. They obviously suffered some serious injuries, so we'll wait to see what happens there. But still waiting to see Gabby make that return eventually. But yeah, a credible list of such talent on there, and I just think that we're going to see a lot of those names return next year. Medina
still recovering from the pec injury, but already looking pretty acrobatic in his return to the water, Rich.
Yeah, definitely. We're starting to see a couple of social media clips drop in the pool and also in the ocean, and he's looking good.
Oh, he's so scary. But Ramsey, we're wishing him all the best too. That was a difficult injury he suffered down there. Looks like he's lined up for surgery as well. So wishing him all the best. Let's have a look at the Vissla Shaper rankings, because there has been some movement at the top. Biolis continues to hold down that number 1 spot, and he can thank Gabriela Bryan for that, and of course the Colapinto boys.
Oh, well, man, jeez, that is just absolutely crazy. 174,000, but what a team of surfers. I mean, he's the Colapinto brothers, of course, but Gabby going back to back here 2 years in a row now, just proving, even I think back to previous winner before Gabby was Carissa, and seems like Mayhem is shaping some incredible boards for the women here at Main Break. And yeah, faring really well.
Does Sharpeye get points for Bronte McCauley's run through the event? Because
possibly.
Bronte bought that board from the local surf shop. So Marcio Suvi, it's time to get on the phone, give Bronte a ring and get a couple more sleds under her feet.
Absolutely, or at least give her a start if they do end up winning it and get that trip out to the wave pool. They better give her an invite for sure. But we're heading to Matt Biles' home turf as well, the next event at Lowers, so watch out, they might extend their lead.